So very happy to welcome you all to this session on behalf of CIIC and Talent Peeps. It's a mutual collaboration we have come up with. And the idea behind this session is to basically enable all of us to sail through this COVID era. It's being called an era because it's almost been 2 months now and things are going through slowly but steadily. And being part of the startup fraternity, it's our job, rather our duty to make sure that we as leaders make sure that our team goes through this scenario unscathed. So quick guidelines before we start. So the questions can be put forth in the Q&A section on the bottom of your screen. You can add your questions whenever you feel like. The session will be in the following format. We'll have a 45-minute presentation by two of our panelists, followed by questions. So do not worry if your questions are not answered then and there. They definitely will be answered at the end of this session. So over to Mr. Fazlu to take forward and move into the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Akshay. Thanks for your facilitation. So, welcome all. First of all, I would like to thank few people for this golden opportunity. First of all, the thanks should go to the Crescent Innovation and Incubation Cell directors, right from Mr. Abdul Qadir and Professor Dr. Azad and the CEO, Crescent Innovation Incubation Council CEO, Mr. Parvez Alam. And also a special thanks to Mr. Syed Muhammad Buhari, who's the board of director from Crescent University. So he is the one who really, initiated the talk with us. Why don't we use this time to really show the people what is really UCA is and how we have to collectively develop our responsibility and the leadership skills to thrive in this world, because we always at the moment think of surviving not thriving. So this is where I thought, okay, we have to speak about thriving, not about the survival. So I thought Murli will be the right person to bring Murli into the limelight. I have to just give you some background about him. He is a person who has, an MBA as well as Six Sigma Green Belt and an MBTI certified coach, leadership coach, and he have visited many countries, Eastern European countries, China, Singapore, Middle East like Dubai, Bahrain, Sri Lanka, across India, and he dealt with many prominent clients like American Express, Hyundai, HDFC, ICICI, Renault, Nissan, Alisan, and Pepsi to add, and TVS in India. So he is the one who, right from the beginning, when we start talking about our concepts within the UCA, he was very much in alignment with how we are going forward and what we have to really prepare for the future world challenges within the UCA world. That's why I invited Mr. Murli Shankar, the CEO of Future Think Asia. Welcome, Murli. Thanks for your time. And I really thank for all the participants for their valuable time. It's really a good number. And the surprising thing is, most around 60% of our population, participant population, says that they don't know, they never heard the term UCA. So I think this is the right time. So Crescent Innovation Incubation Council, to add, it is a non-profit organization which is funded by Crescent as well as the Government of India. They have very special recognitions with many recognitions, and they have incubated more than 30-40 companies within their incubation cell, and they are really developing the leaders for the future world, we can say. So India need really such approaches, so that we are really proud to associate with Crescent, and we are looking forward to take it for the long in developing their startup leaders. So Murli, the floor is yours. Welcome to the show.
First of all, thank you so much, Mr. Fazlur Rahman. It's really a pleasure being associated with you quite some time now. And thanks so much to Crescent Innovation Incubation Council for this fantastic initiative that they've taken. So it's also a pleasure to note that 61% of the audience actually doesn't know what VUCA is, which makes our job a little more nicer to explain and get from them what's going on. So, hi everybody, good evening. So the first thing I'd like to really start off is by actually asking you all, you may not have heard of VUCA, but you have heard of leadership. You have heard of so much about leadership, you've read about leadership. Some of you have done your management, must have read one hell of a lot about leadership. So what according to you is leadership? So my dear friends, what according to you is leadership? Okay, so I get one response. It says to make a new strategy. Okay. Okay, those who lead a team or group with a common objective, ability to inspire. Very nice to hear your response. Oh, there's one more. Leadership is the ability to inspire and motivate people in a desired direction. All right, fine, fantastic. I'm going to take another 2 minutes and see if we are getting any more responses to this. Thanks to people who have already responded. Just to reiterate the response, there's one more. Leadership is a kind of outcome from a personality to the society. Interesting. One more, it says taking initiatives, leadership. Okay, very nice, very nice. Thanks to all of you for your responses. I'm sure there are more coming in. Yes, there are more coming in slowly. But I need to ask this question once again now. Now, what did I ask you? What was my question? Did I ask you the qualities of a leader, or did I ask you what is leadership? Because the responses that I'm getting are all about qualities of a leader. I never asked you for qualities of a leader. I wanted to know what is leadership. So can somebody tell me what leadership is? And while I thank you for all your answers, they're all talking about qualities of a leader. I want to know what is leadership. Okay, here we go. Being on the forefront, the action of leading a group of people. Okay, managing people. Okay, so let's move forward by actually acknowledging one of the responses that I've got. It says the action of leading a group of people, and of course, it talks about managing a group of people, motivate resources. Now, there is a big question now. Is leadership a noun or a verb? When I say noun or verb, noun means it's a nomenclature, it's a name, whereas verb means there is action. So what do you think? Is leadership noun or verb? Is it just a nomenclature or is it all about action? Great, wonderful. All responses are talking about it being a verb and it is all about action. Fantastic, right? Now, therefore, if leadership is all about action, then as a leader or innovator, how do you see the future world? What do you anticipate in the future world? We all agree that it's about actions, right? So how do we see the future world? Currently, we are going through a big turmoil, and all of us know about it. We're all going through this turmoil, and we are definitely going to come out of this turmoil. It's not that we're going to be there always, right? Now, when we are preparing to come out of this turmoil, we're all doing our best, right? Now, is it enough? What else should we look at? How do I look at the future? Because everything seems to be very different now. Whatever was considered to be abnormal is appearing normal now. So the new normal that we're going to talk about, how are we going to handle this challenge? Do you think our education will help us alone? Do you think our experience alone will help us? Right? Or our exposure, is that enough alone to help us? I'm sure all of you would, good, somebody who's written, it's a new normal situation. Correct, it's a new normal situation. And therefore, in this new normal situation, how do you go about handling this situation? I may even be prompted to tell you something which I read many years back. It said, you may not be able to predict the future. It says you may not be able to predict the future, however, you can still create a future. So keeping that in mind, as we move along, let us see how can we handle this future world. All of us are going to be successful. We need to be successful. So here is where we talk about what Dr. Fazlur Rahman was saying some time back called VUCA, the new normal. 61% of people had mentioned that they don't know what VUCA is. That is fine. I mean, you've all lived through VUCA. Maybe you don't know the technical term called VUCA, but you have lived through it. So we are talking about volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. I'm sure all of us agree that it's a mad, mad, mad world out there with things changing left, right, and center. What appeared to be a great leadership model in 2000 uh, became a very simple model by 2008 to 2010, where the leadership had to do something very different. The expectations are changing. The entire scenario is changing. So, like in judgments in India, whenever a judgment is made, they always say this has a reference to the 1981 judgment. So here, what are we saying? There is a reference point. So unfortunately, in leadership, that's not working out. We cannot say what happened in 1980 was a great leadership that will happen once again. Therefore, we divide this into two kinds of challenges. One is called, leadership is all about two kinds of challenges. One is called as a technical challenge. One is called as an adaptive challenge. In a technical challenge, there is an answer. Somebody has given you a note or a guide, so you can fall back on that answer and say, well, if I look at this, I can probably move forward. Whereas in an adaptive challenge, you don't have an answer. There is no guide. You have to create the answer by experiment or by becoming prepared, or by putting things in order. Therefore, we are currently facing, or we have always faced, something called as a technical challenge. And VUCA is all about a technical challenge. We don't know.
VUCA world.
No idea.
An acronym of volatility, the speed and turbulence of change. Uncertainty, outcomes even from familiar actions are less predictable. Complexity, vastness of interdependencies in globally connected economies and societies. And ambiguity has more than one possible meaning and may therefore cause confusion, inexactness. VUCA, the challenge and threat for today's corporate world. VUCA is going to be the new norm.
Fantastic. That was a good video, isn't it? So, how do we challenge this VUCA world? Are we going to succumb to VUCA and say, oh no, my God, that's fate, that's the way we got to go over? Or I'm sure most of us would love to challenge this VUCA world. But then what do I require to challenge this VUCA? You see, success has been determined by many factors. I remember while studying management and doing things like that, they said, if you're confident, you can be successful. Somewhere I now feel being confident alone doesn't make me successful. It says if you're very passionate about something, you can be successful. Maybe that's one tool. I mean, that doesn't define success totally, right? What we have realized over a period of time, after interacting with so many people across the world, moving around with people, what people like me have realized is success is always a set of repeatable behaviors. There are a set of repeatable behaviors, and if one masters the art of these behaviors and starts repeating them with regard to the conditions, then there is a fair amount of success. So to challenge this VUCA world, we need to look at certain key factors that can help us challenge this VUCA world. And let's look at what are these factors, right? So we are talking about just 3 pillars of growth. I'm sure as we move along, we can discuss these 3 in length. We're talking about the talent, we're talking about agility, and we're talking about being proactive. Let's go one by one, right? So talent, agility, and proactive. Talent is a very interesting thing. There's always a statement. It's a very nice thing to say that everybody is a talent. A superb statement. But then not everybody also displays talent, right? Maybe you have a talent. Now, there are 2 things here. One, as a leader to identify that talent, and one, as a leader to make that talent manifest. There are 2 things here, right? Now, who are these talents? In many of my seminars, I have asked this question, who is a talent, especially from a working scenario? The response typically from leaders and managers has been somebody who can complete things on time. That's a manager's job, right? Fine, fair enough. Somebody who can think extraordinarily, but then in reality, when one of them think extraordinarily and 9 of them think together, that one person is not considered to be anything great, right? So what is this talent? Talent to thrive. First of all, we need to also look at what talent is for ourselves as well. So we require fresh ideas and new ways of thinking. Right? The same old thing doesn't work. So which means I need to start unlearning and questioning what I've learned already. Is there something else that I can do? I'll give you a simple example. I don't know how many of you have seen this beautiful building in Guangzhou province in China, which looks like two heads of a snake. It's like this. It's like two heads of a snake cobra. The building is designed like that. Now, I'm sure somebody who had a vision must have thought about it, because basic laws of civil engineering will not allow you to do that building. Cantilever measurements are mentioned. So somebody has thought beyond that. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Somebody who thinks beyond, some new ways of thinking, right? Quickly changing a field or area of business where the future is undefined or emerging. There are so many emerging markets. We all realize it after somebody has made a dent into that market. Oh my God, that was available. We didn't quite take it quite seriously. So there are so many. Can we keep our ears and eyes open? Continuous development, contiguous development, whatever I learned or whatever that has got me to wherever I am today is not sufficient to keep me there. I'm sure all of you will agree with that, right? So can we still look at learning something? Strategy always plays a big role, right? Can I look at some kind of new strategy? I have been doing something for a long time. Can I look at something new, something that can make me a little different? Today, technology plays a big role. Now, the future is done. Even now, this seminar itself, otherwise, we would have had it in a hall. Today, we are having it through technology, right? So, therefore, what happens is it's extremely important not to make statements like, for me, I don't know technology. For me, technology is difficult. These are irresponsible statements in future. I mean, the best part is technology is an enabler, and let me please be part of it, right? And most importantly, understanding of the ever-changing pestle scenario. Now, pestle, let me explain what is pestle. We're talking about political scenarios that change, economic scenarios that change, sociological scenarios that change, technological scenarios that change, legal scenarios that change, and environmental scenarios that are ever-changing and mostly not in our country. So we need to get geared and be prepared to handle it as and when it happens. One of the best examples of environmental change that I'm currently looking at is the advent of electric vehicles. We all have read about it. A lot of people said, I have a BS4 car. My God, I bought a BS6 car. What will happen? What will happen? You got to go and say, good, that's the new normal. Now, what will we do ultimately? We will adapt to it. So can we be ready for it? Can we be prepared for it? And most importantly, change. Now, as a management consultant, leadership coach, change is something which people want me to keep speaking in every training program. In every intervention that we do, people say, can you talk about change? Now, exactly what is change? If you honestly look at what change is, it is really about adapting ourselves to the next level. It is like shedding something and saying, let me, put on a new skin. It's not easy. It's not as easy as talking. However, it is possible. If a snake can shed its skin and have a new skin over a period of time, I'm sure we as people can actually start anticipating and keep changing. That's very, very important. That's where we become completely changed. So talent plays a big part as we go along. Next comes, of course, the agility part of it. The picture itself should tell you what agility means. I'm sure most of you know the fastest animal in the world, the one that runs very fast. It's called as the cheetah. It's extremely fast, and it's supposed to be an extremely agile animal. Okay, so therefore, as a professional, agility becomes the ability to think, understand, and react quickly. Okay, the willingness to learn from experience, and most importantly, to apply that learning under different circumstances and first-time conditions. Right. Now, having said that, agility also means whatever I have learned, if I'm finding it to be a little redundant or not in terms with tune of what is going on, then I think it becomes extremely important that that we challenge this notion, okay? That we question this notion, and we say, why not we learn something new? I remember when I was doing my MBA, most of you would have done your MBA, maybe. I mean, not that non-MBAs are bad. No, that's not the point. For those of us who studied, one important topic was Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of need. And we all got marks for that. This was a definite question in the MBA paper, motivation theory. So there is a theory that says, if a basic need is satisfied, then you go to the next need, then you go to the next need. So when I asked my professor, I said, is this a specific need or a universal need? So he said, how dare you question Abraham Maslow? So I said, I'm not questioning him. I have a lot of respect for him. But can I ask this question? So when you ask this question, most people don't like these questions being asked. Audio is low, it says, right? Is the audio fine, Fazlurji?
On my side, it looks good.
So somebody has said that the audio is low.
Okay, how about now? I have just increased it a little bit, the system audio.
Oh, let me see. Okay, please keeping in. Okay, somebody's typing. Okay now. Okay, it says okay now.
Yeah, okay.
That's nice. Great. So, can we question this? If you question, nobody is trying to flout a theory, but can you question that theory so that it becomes a learning by itself, and ultimately we start applying that learning for the first time conditions which you have never experienced before. So that itself was good and could give us a great experience and insight into futuristically how do we learn. So, but the speed, this agility becomes extreme. We can't wait. There is no time to wait. We need to experiment. We need to put it in place. That's the stage at which we are. So the second point is about agility. And in agility, we have different factors in terms of, we'll just take you through this. First point is the self-awareness. The extent to which me or you know about our true weaknesses and strengths. In psychology, we don't talk about weakness so much, or rather we talk about strength, because weakness always becomes a relative comparison to somebody else, right? But in leadership, it becomes important. So what is the extent to which I know about myself or you know about yourself? The best thing to do is to challenge our own notions. I may have a certain belief, I may have a certain outlook, which possibly is not the way things are. So can I question this, or rather than saying, no, I am like this? So that's how we develop our self-awareness. And then we talk about the mental agility. Now, ability to examine problems in unique and unusual ways. It's very interesting. I would like to quote this example to you people. Many years back, we were watching a film called Robo. Fazlurji, somebody is saying audio is not good enough.
Increased it to the full.
Okay.
Just check it from your side whether you can increase it a little bit.
I have also increased it. Mine is also to the full. It's 100%.
So maybe possibly they may have some,
No. He's also saying it's okay now. Okay.
Fine.
Fair enough. So let me quote this example. We were watching this film called Robo. I don't know how most of you would have seen that film. So we had taken our little daughter at that point in time. I think she was in second standard or something. And as the film was going on, somewhere it's all about a mission getting feelings and how the mission goes and falls in love with the scientist's would-be. And that's how the entire thing gets created. So I remember my little daughter telling me, Dad, why is it that they are doing this? They could have actually created a female robot with feelings. It would have solved the problem. So look, honestly, looking at it that day, I felt correct, right? Now, of course, from a commercial perspective, the film wouldn't have run. But then from a mental agility perspective, I thought those problems can actually be solved in very different and unusual ways. It need not be the same. So it's a question of thinking. Now, the third one becomes the people agility. Now, all of you will agree with me that communication plays a very, very, very big role. Now, the best part here is, can we move back?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, communication has been a very popular training program in most organizations for a very long time. The simple definition of communication, whatever you're saying must be, the other person must be reasonably able to understand what you're trying to say, and you must get a feedback. However, a skilled communicator can articulate what he or she wants and get things done with different types of people. Today and futuristically, we're going to work in a world where we're going to work with many different types of people, right? So when we start working with different types of people, you will have to appreciate that everybody has a right to be different. I cannot carry my agenda and push it. Everybody has a right to be different. However, everybody think about the same objective. Now look at the challenge. In this kind of a challenge, the communicator must be able to appreciate the other person's point of view. At the same time, be firm in establishing that this is what we need as an objective. Now that's a huge challenge, and mere communication skill is not going to help. We need some really good articulation skills and understanding different types of people. It's more of a behavioral and psychological trait. The more I understand people, the more people get things done for me. That's people agility. And of course, we've already spoken about change, and of course the change agility. And most people in this world are less comfortable with change. Although people evangelize saying change is important. I mean, saying something and doing something are two different things. I still remember a friend of mine who used to say, doing is doing. You know, you can't simply keep thinking. You got to do. So becoming comfortable with change can only happen if, in the first place, I experience a change and I say, okay, fine, and then move on. Otherwise, it becomes difficult. And of course, results. Ultimately, that's what we all look at. Especially delivering results in challenging first-time situations. You never thought what's going to happen, but still you went ahead, planned, and got the result done. So therefore, agility comprises of a whole lot of these things. Now, slowly, if we can develop these factors within ourselves and with our groups, then agility becomes a full-blown kind of a factor which is going to really help us in the VUCA world. So we only spoke about learning agility. Maybe later on in a different seminar, we should be able to elucidate the balance. Just for your information, we're talking about learning agility, leadership agility, and of course, enterprise agility, right? So we have discussed learning agility. It's all about skill building. Leadership agility is about team development. And of course, enterprise agility is all about enabling the enterprise to make it more profitable, to keep growing. So I think as we move along, when we move along, we can discuss these things at much more length. As of now, we'd like to leave this thought with you. And of course, the third factor which we were talking about in dealing with the VUCA world is being proactive. Now, if you see any innovation that is happening or anything to do with some new idea, it's all about being proactive. It's like saying, just look at this concept. Disc brakes in a motorbike. At least people like me, Dr. Fazlur Rahman, when we were driving bikes, I don't think we ever thought there would be a stage where there'll be a disc brake in a bike, right? Or we never thought about helmets, which are today Bluetooth enabled. It is really amazing to see such interesting things happening. So why have these things come up? Today, your highways are in amazing shape for us to drive our cars and bikes. I'm just giving you very simple examples. Why these things are coming about, and that's, I think, the first point is being proactive and being ready for the future, and also for detection of potential future risks. The people say you have to be very confident always, which is actually very good. But it also is good if you can ask this question: what will happen if things go wrong? Good, everything is fine. But once that question is asked, then the potential future risk can be weighed, right? Then we could also see what are the gaps. Now, simply put it, being proactive in this kind of a thing also means when I make a decision, can I look at what is essential, what is a desire? Now, if I'm very clear about that, then identification of gaps also becomes pretty interesting in my decision-making process. Otherwise, I'm looking at everything as essential, and that becomes a problem. Number 3, I have a strategy. Can I also develop a set of complementary strategies? Most of you who might be interested in cricket will know this, that most captains make very strategic decisions when somebody least expects it. It's not that they did it there. It's already there in their mind. There's something going on in their mind. So I've heard a lot of filmmakers make this statement. I actually wanted to use the first half for the second half and the second half for the first half. But something told me, let me do that, and it became successful. In many cases, it didn't. In many cases, it did. So it's not something that was done there. It was something that was already there in the mind. It's a question of experiment. right? And obviously, aiming for a proactive management. Now, imagine if you can have a kind of a culture in an organization or whatever business you're doing, where you encourage people to be proactive, where you make people come out with thoughts on future risks, where you make people disagree with you for a better agreement. Then what happens is people start becoming automatically proactive. The culture plays a huge role, and obviously looking at the larger picture. That macro view, that people call it as helicopter view, glass ceiling view. You could call it any number of names. Developing that macro view to take on the future as a strategy is a very, very good proactive step as things move along. When we talk about proactive, we're talking about two parts. So one is the depth to which one can be proactive and the breadth to which one can be proactive. Now, in fact, what you should understand is, or you would already know is, it is both. Both can be engaged in passion. You can look at the depth of it, and you should look at the breadth of it. When you look at the depth of it, we're talking about being diligent, determined, and this perseverance to, to learning, which is like, yes, I will continue to learn. Whatever I have learned so far may not be enough for me to take it forward. So let me continuously and diligently, with discipline, learn. All of us have learned a lot of things over a period of time. And if we can continue this, it's going to really be useful to us. Most importantly, I would look at consistency as a very, very important point, which I earlier also mentioned in another continuum there. Embracing this consistency, quality, and, going by a structure, and always giving an output that produces quality and consistency. Everybody looks at it as a very proactive model. If you take an example, McD was always considered to be that worldwide. People always said they're very proactive and they're very consistent. And of course, following procedures, policies, and norms plays a big role. Shortcuts are very easy, but then, we lose, credibility doing all that. And the more and more I enhance my expertise, the more and more deeply I learn about what I'm doing, the more and more our output becomes a lot better. Right? And of course, coming back to the breadth part of it, embracing uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity with the mentality that yes, these things are bound to happen, and let's keep moving. When the Great Recession happened, the world didn't come to a standstill; it moved on. When the Spanish flu happened, the world moved on. Somebody found something, they found an opportunity. So that's the bigger picture, the larger picture, of saying, okay, let me not sit back and say this is fate, nothing can happen. Let me go ahead and take a risk and break that routine and look at the bigger picture and keep moving ahead in life. In fact, today, just before this webinar, I was listening to an individual and his journey from where he started to where he is. Really, he never spoke about things like, I was confident. I had nothing of that sort. He made a beautiful point. He said, I came from a village to achieve something. I could not achieve that in that field. So I said, let me start working in a related field. And I diligently and very hardly worked in that field, where slowly I started getting recognized by people. So I learned a lot of new things, and ultimately what I wanted to happen happened after 16 years. So I have come to the bigger, and this person who said this was this very famous director, actor called Samudra Kani in Tamil Nadu. Unbelievable journey. I mean, from where, and no mention of passion, confidence. No, he says, his biggest advice to people is saying, if you have a dream, you want to do something, keep on working. Learn. Someday it will come to you. Where is it going to go? Learn, but be diligent. That's the breadth part of it, the bigger picture. Pretty interesting. You may just turn back and ask me and say, is this possible? I'll tell you something. If you want it, it is possible. It's always like that, right? If you want something, you find ways to get it. Now, what we are elucidating are a set of success factors which people have been engaged with. We'd like you also to be engaged with, right? So we can look at both the depth and the breadth and keep moving ahead. Okay, let's move ahead. So today, lot of things are available as a platform on the web, right? Uh, Facing uncertainty, uncertainty, how to handle VUCA world, all this is available as as a platform on the internet, so that it minimizes our chances of going out somewhere. We could actually get all this sitting where we are. And there are many organizations offering this for you. Having said that, let me tell you, Talent Peps is one of the forerunners in doing this. In fact, they have a very well researched content. One, they have some fantastic what do you call questionnaires which are developed from years and years of expertise and kind of interface. And they have people who have been in the industry for a very long time. So Talent Peps, in a way, is a very professional platform that offers to develop your employability skills for transformation, quite literally by identifying, strengthening new age competencies. They through that they find out the areas of improvement, and actually they prepare the person to face future challenges. So I would somewhere look at you making use of such platforms that are available on the internet, so that you become prepared and ready for the future.
Okay, I think thanks, Murli. It's a very interesting insights what you have given on this talent, agility, and proactiveness. So, shall we open the platform for the question and answers?
We should. I'm game. Yes. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you. Great. So we request the participants, please throw your questions. Murli will be happy. Murli or myself will be happy to answer your questions. We have say another 15 minutes. So if we are not able to answer your questions, we will separately come to you and we will answer you through the email. So don't feel that we are not able to answer it. We will reach you in person. Okay. You can start the questions, please.
Yeah.
Okay, I will ask one question.
Okay, let's start it. Yeah.
Seriously, because see, some usually people when they come across these kind of situations, especially for startups, so they will always have the pain points on the survival.
Correct.
Even though there are scenarios and backups and they have a very good mentors, but still the proactiveness point and the agility point automatically will go off. They will have the problem. So how to really be positive and to be proactive in this kind of scenarios?
First of all, thanks for the question. I think first of all, they should plan to be long-term players. Now, if they're planning to be a long-term player, then this would have been factored into their plan itself. I'm not saying all 10 uncertainties they can plan, but definitely 8 out of 10 they'll be prepared if they are looking at a long-term vision. That is point number one. Point number two, I think they must come with a mentality to fail. It can't be that the mentality is, since I have a great idea or a concept, this has to definitely be successful. Not necessarily. If I come with a mentality to fail, I'm not saying you got to fail, but if I come with that mentality to fail, at least I'll be in a position to recoup a little faster. Because I know you are perfectly right when you say agility and proactiveness takes a big beating. Yes, it can happen to anybody whose plans go for a 6, right? However, the ability to recoup and come back and still look at an alternative strategy to push the concept is more important than the strategy itself, according to me.
Okay, and there is a question. Shall we predict business world coming days? Which startup is good, consultant oriented service or product oriented service?
Today's news about Reliance, Mark Zuckerberg taking a stake in Geo is a classic example of a product orientation, right?
Yeah, correct.
I mean, what else? That is the answer to the question. I mean, any time across the world, if you see, product orientation has always been in the forefront. In fact, today when the whole thing happened, the big panel discussion which I was watching was, why are we not able to create a company like Google or a Facebook? Because this is a product-based company, right? Now, having said that, we have created. It's not that we haven't. I think we should give a big thumbs up to Sridhar Vembu for doing Zoho and having the incubation center in a place called Tenkasi. He has created a product company, but we need more. We need much more. We need much more. Products are the ones that will lead the change. Consultancy services will be complementary to products.
Okay. Any other questions, please? From CIIC, I'm really expecting so many other questions. You know, they know the pain points of the people.
Yeah,
especially since they are dealing with many more startups.
Correct.
Yeah. Otherwise, you know, I would like to just add, what I want to add is, as you mentioned, people have to think a bit futuristic. Always, you know, they have to really work for the uncertainty. At the same time, startups, they have to really think from the user experience point of view. Instead of they develop their product, their ideas, they have to think from the user experience point of view. How best my product or my service will satisfy the user, and how comfortable the user will be able to use my product, and they will get the complete satisfaction out of my product or service, so that they will be really able to reach many of their customers easily, if they are going to keep the user experience in their mind and develop it.
Also, Dr. Fazlur, there's one more interesting point. A lot of people start a lot of things with some fantastic outlook. Okay, somewhere it takes a beating. It is as good as saying I'll lose weight, or it is as good as saying I will go to the gym, you know, or whatever. But somewhere that loses steam, right? In spite of the best efforts, if you really do a little bit of a psychology-oriented research into it, you will find that the person who set the goal is solely responsible for its loss also.
Correct.
It's extremely, I mean, it's an extremely interesting concept.
Yeah.
I think there's one question from Mr. Prasad.
Yeah.
It says,
any pro tips?
Tips to handle the uncertainty in the minds of team members. First point is, iduvum kadandu pogum. This also will pass. Second thing is that I think they have already done a great job. They've done a fantastic job of handling it, and they know how to handle it. And constantly they must be reinforced that they're doing a damn good job, and that this will pass too. We can't predict it. Since we cannot predict it, let's create much more resilience amongst ourselves and keep moving ahead, is what we could say. No unwanted confidence tips and all, because, you know, they fall flat sometimes.
Exactly. And I know as an added point, I'm seeing with some of the startup leaders, recently I'm discussing with, how I was asking the same question, how really you are handling the uncertainty within your team members. Even though it's a small startup, they have to, the leader should be the role model for the leader should think themselves confident, and they can, you know, show them the way really we can withstand the storm, and definitely we will be able to sail in the calm. So they have to show the role model. And as you mentioned, this also will get past. You know, we have come across with so many uncertainty throughout the history, we can say. So we are well equipped. By the way, it's blessings in disguise, we have to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
In fact, as compared to most countries, we are doing extremely well.
exactly. So
And when you're saying this, I'm reminded of something very interesting. It's about it's about the great King Alexander. When he and his troops were crossing a desert, at one stage there was some water available to drink. So he, as a king, he could have drank it. I'm just supporting your point of view, Dr. Fazlur, He could have drank it, but instead he threw the water away and said, let's all reach the other side of the desert and drink water together. How much a leader can get it done is a big thing here, isn't it?
exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So the everyone has to be every leader should be the role model.
Yeah.
So another question for you is outsourcing an app or tech product is a good option?
I'm not able to understand. It says it's outsourcing a app or tech.
Maybe an opportunity.
Or outsourcing an opportunity or tech product is a good option. No, any days in tech product is always a great option, because the amount of experimentation that one could do and innovation that one could do in a product is unimaginable, if you ask.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's what people should start focusing on.
Okay. Any other question? He wants to understand if outsourcing is good
Is
or
good
not.
or not? I mean, that's a very, very debatable question. It really depends on the economy of scale of the organization and the number of people that they want. But having said that, outsourcing has been the name of the game for quite some time now, right? And it has created jobs for people. Maybe a little more regulation into outsourcing should really help the cause.
Actually, in my experience, for especially I'm talking about in terms of startups. To start with, of course, they have to outsource some of the things and they have to integrate it with some of the things to get the best synergy part. On a longer run, if you want to have the ownership of your product or services, I think you have to develop everything of your own instead of
Absolutely.
outsourcing.
Absolutely.
That is where you will have the ownership, and then the dependency will be reduced, and then you can keep on innovate. When someone says, immediately you will be able to do it. But there are some of the areas where you don't have to take the pain of doing it. Correct. That you have to outsource it. It's simple.
Absolutely right. Yes.
So it has both the merits and demerits.
Absolutely.
Depends on the situation we have to decide on.
Okay, there is another one. It says leading a team, it's not easy for everybody. So for that we need skills. What do you think skills is? A personality, attitude, or something to learn? Okay. Leading a team is not easy for everybody, for that matter. It doesn't come easily to everybody, and it doesn't mean that some people have already know the skill of leading people. However, it becomes extremely important to understand the other person who's working with us, and to understand what are their needs which can be aligned to the larger picture. To give you a simple example, when you talk about motivation, a lot of people say that you'll have to take the horse to the pond for the horse to drink the water. I have a different take. My logic is, if you can really find out what makes a horse thirsty, you don't need to take it to the pond. The horse will run for its life to the pond. So it means spending more time with people, understanding people, helping people, taking them along the path and showing them the larger picture. That's a task. But today, a lot of people say we don't have time for all that, but that's a silly excuse. If you have to develop people, you have to spend time with them, because everybody is different and we need to take them along according to the way they are. That makes people successful leaders.
So another one question, it's something you have to decide which you have to categorize it. Okay, how to differentiate between essential and desire?
Of course. Why not?
Essential at one point of time
could become desire
in some situations.
Yes. Yeah, it's a fantastic question, because if you remember in the beginning when we were using Nokia mobile phones, camera was only a desire, correct?
Yeah.
We did not have cameras in those phones. I'm talking about the early phones. So for us, camera was a desire. When somebody said mobile phones had cameras, we looked at them with, really? Today it has become an essential feature. Without a camera, there is no phone at all. Nobody buys a phone, right? However, having said that, in your decision-making process, if you have to filter out then we need to seriously look at what is desirable and what is essential. So I am buying an SUV for that matter, and I have to decide whether a sunroof is a desire or is it essential. Now, being in Chennai, I would turn back and say sunroof is only a desire because it's not essential given our climatic conditions. It could be very different for others. Also, what weighs in is the cost factor, at least in this example. So if I have an objective and I say within this objective, I have to do something, then it becomes a lot more important to say what is really desirable is something which can be put aside and said, okay, fine. Essential is something which I definitely need to have. So that's the difference.
Fantastic. You simply put it in a very exactly. So I think we have another 6 more minutes. So
Okay.
we'll take 2 questions more. So please, we
Sure.
can take two more questions. Any questions? Any further questions?
Somebody has given a suggestion. Please create a community so that we could find good team members and co-founders.
Definitely. That's what exactly the CIIC is doing. It is an ecosystem where people can go and get their support, and they can really thrive on. So we are all there. So anytime you can reach us for any kind of support. Collaboration, could it be future agility?
Of course, yes. Yes. In fact, collaboration has always been a part of agility. Single-handedly, you would want to do a lot of things, but you may never be able to do it. But I think it's important to collaborate and collaborate with the right people with different mindsets so that you also learn a lot. There is one more question. It says, sir, I have a great idea, but it needs the support and cooperation of big companies. How can I take it forward? Good. First of all, congratulations for a great idea. That's the better part of the answer. However, the other part of the answer is the other people may not look at it as a great idea. Okay, let's be very practical about it. What is a very euphoric moment for us may not appear to be euphoric for somebody else. So what's the answer? When I make a presentation to them or present them with the idea, let me make it euphoric from their point of view, which means please study about them before you go and make the presentation of the idea to big companies. See how it can fit into their scheme of things. Remember, it's like writing a book. Always when people write a book, the advice is write it from the reader's perspective and not from the writer's perspective. Similarly, when you present an idea, present it from their perspective and not from your perspective. You'll be surprised how much you would have learned in the process.
Thanks for the great opportunity. Thanks for your CIIC team members and the participants and from my side.
Yeah, sure, sir. It's our pleasure, with the senior person like Mr. Murli and yourself, Dr. Fazlur. It's our, it's our pleasure to get to know so much from you. So as a quick note, I wanted to add also a point on the community front. So Chennai as an ecosystem is pretty good. So it's a well-knit ecosystem. You can, not many, places has the pleasure or, privilege to connect with senior leaders over webinars, just on short notice. So that's something, which we are trying to do. And for the participants, CIIC as an entity is proposing to do a few more sessions like these. So I would request all the participants to, as much as possible, share a quick experience on Facebook, put a note, probably tag Talent Peeps and CIIC, so that, not many people get to know about such a session, and we can, share this expertise in many more sessions. So thank you again, Mr. Murli and Dr. Fazlur. It was a wonderful session.
Thanks
and
so much.
I hope people become Superman, Superwoman like the person standing on the screen.
Definitely. We are always there to help you.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, all the
Thank
participants. And thank you, Murli ji.
Thank you, Fazlur ji. Thanks so much indeed. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.